watching KSL Sports Live.
Saturday is a special day right here on KSL Sports Live. Thanks for including us in your weekend plans. We've got a lot of Utah and BYU football to talk about actually today. The new Big 12 schedules have been released, and we bring in the experts. Stevenson Sylvester and Mitch Harper are going to break down the matchups. Also, did you see what BYU's Kingsley Suamataia did at the Senior Bowl today? We'll show you that. And what locals are doing at the Pro Bowl this weekend. And the best from Friday night in high school hoops is here. But we'll get this party started off in college basketball. BYU 3-4 since Big 12 play began, but they're still ranked 6th in the nation in the net rankings. And Joe Lunardi's most recent bracketology has the Cougars with a 5 seed in the NCAA tournament. BYU's only game of this week, that's this afternoon in Morgantown against the West Virginia Mountaineers. First half, BYU center Fousseyni Traore scored the Cougars' first 4 buckets of the game. That one tied the game up at 8. Later, BYU starts to hit those threes. Richie Saunders gives BYU the 19-17 lead. Then Jackson Robinson connects for the 22-17 lead. 5 minutes to go in the half. Game tied at 27. Spencer Johnson knocks one down. It's a 30-27 lead. A little bit later, the fast break defense. Noah Waterman with the block. Then in transition back the other way, the ball will get into the hands of Fousseyni Traore. And look how he finishes with the right hand. They're up by 3, 32-29. Richie Saunders would help close the half with 2 straight three-pointers. BYU up 38-29 at the break. In the second half, BYU starts to get that lead growing. Spencer Johnson with another 3-ball. Cougars up 48-35. BYU's lead would grow to 17 when Saunders gets the hoop and the harm. It's a 56-39 lead. Kerr Kriisa had a big game for West Virginia. Cuts the Cougar lead to 7, making it 70-63. The lead got down to 5 when Trevin Knell and Jackson Robinson hit back-to-back threes to push the lead back up to 9. Traore finished with 24 points and 9 rebounds, and BYU gets a nice road win, 86-73. Utah State continues to open eyes all over the nation with its 19-2 start in Danny Sprinkle's first season. They're ranked 20th in the net rankings, and they're projected to receive the school's highest ever seed in the NCAA tournament, currently a 6th seed in Lunardi's bracketology. Well, today they had a chance to boost that net ranking, another quad 1 opponent in San Diego State. Early in the game, Great Osabor with the steal and the dunk. A couple minutes later, how about Darius Brown? The 3 and the foul. Aggies go up by 5. 6 minutes left in the half. The filthy crossover and step back. Brown, another 3. Aggies up by 3. But San Diego State rallies at the end of the half. The 3-pointer beats the buzzer. Aztecs up 6 at the break. Second half, they're down by 9. But Osabor showing some range. Top of the key jumper led the Aggies with 17 in this game. 8 minutes left. Spencer Johnson off the glass. Aggies still down by 9. San Diego State always seemed to have an answer. Elijah Saunders on the other end, and the Aggies end up falling short by 14. They'll be facing Nevada and Boise at home this upcoming week. All right, when I grew up, my mom had a sign on the wall that said, "Home is where the heart is." Well, for the running Utes, home is where the W's are. 13 home games, 13 wins this season. Today, back home against Colorado, a team with just 1 road win this season. The Buffs have won 4 of their last 5, though. In the first half, Utes down 1. Brandon Carlson from 3-point range, and it's a 22-20 Utah lead. Cole Bajma also dialed one up from deep, tying the game at 27. Lawson Lovering, he used to play for the Buffs last year. Now he's in a Utah uniform, throws one down for a 31-29 lead. The game was tied at 31 at the half. In the second half, how about you start off with a little bit of power? Keba Keita, well, he had a dunk for a lead. Gabe Madsen had a big game, though. Down 1, hits the 3-pointer for the 36-34 lead. Then another 3 and the foul for the 4-point play, 42-37. Davon Smith also had a nice game. The jumper and the foul. Utes lead to 9, 47-38. Under 5 to go. Madsen with the steal and the slam. He had 21 points. The Utes are up 62-50. Smith adds a dunk of his own late in the game. He had 17. The Buffs got close, but the Utes get the win 73-68. WAC basketball. Utah Valley taking on Grand Canyon. Second half, Caleb Stone-Carrawell. 3-ball. He led the Wolverines with 15 points. A couple minutes later, Drake Allen inside with the scoop. and the foul. UVU down by 4. But Grand Canyon, they're good. They run away with this game after that. The baseline dunk, the Lopes take down UVU in Orem, 86-67. It's a new era for Utah football. There'll be new members of the Big 12 Conference this fall. And just this past week, the Big 12 released the schedules for the upcoming 2024 season. They begin conference play at Oklahoma State. They host BYU in early November and then wrap it up at UCF. But enough from me about this. Let's take a closer look at the matchups with JJ and Sly.
I am dying to find out what Stevenson Sylvester thinks about the Utes' first Big 12 schedule, Sly. Exciting when this comes out. It's a new world for the Utes.
Yes.
I wanted to get your first overall reaction to the schedule. What did you think when you saw it?
Well, I think great, right? My eyes light up. This is good. You got some warm-up games to guys who haven't played in a while, young guys who haven't played that'll need experience, and then you get straight into Big 12 play. I know we got the 9th or the 10th game is the non-conference game, but it still is a Big 12 game. So a good reason for you to be like, we can definitely dominate this. There should be no questions after the season. We played 10 Big 12 opponents throughout the year. But this is just going to be awesome. You know, start with Southern Utah, and then Baylor comes to our house. We had a good game against them last year. But and then we end the season. You know, we go to BYU, or BYU comes to us, go to Colorado, and go to Orlando the day after Thanksgiving. So that'll be interesting, that flight situation. They have some turkey legs on the flight.
Yeah.
But I just think the schedule just lines up great for us right now. And for me, it's all about, you know, where games are played. Right? Throughout the season, it's very rigorous. One, we have 2 bye weeks.
Yep.
That's huge,
yes,
right? To get some rest multiple times throughout the season. But 2, when you have your inflection of hard games of TCU, Oklahoma State, they're at good points in the season, right? This is still early on in the season where we play Oklahoma State and Arizona, right?
This is interesting, Sly.
Yeah.
You get them with your non-conference schedule. Baylor's a non-conference game this year. These are 2 contenders right out of the gate. That's interesting. Do you think that's good or bad for Utah?
I think that's good. Okay. You're going to get it early in the season.
Yeah.
You know, even this past year, we didn't have too much offense, but we played really well at the beginning of the season, especially defensively.
On defense, yes.
Right? And we made it through those games. They were tough. And so if we can knock this out early while we're still healthy, and this is what I love, is our personnel. We have a great personnel right now to be able to go into stadiums offensively, score a lot of points. I expect Utah to get back to that 40-plus points a game, you know, especially with this schedule, with the firepower that we do have. So I'm very, very excited for this season for Utah.
I think this is what's standing out to a lot of people. BYU, November 9th.
Yes.
That's an odd time for it.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? Good or bad?
I don't like it, but I understand it right now, right? A lot of people are like, oh, we don't want to compete with rivalry week with this and that. I'm like, no, Utah sets the stage. This Utah-BYU game needs to be one of the top rivalry games that are out there. So you put that at rivalry week and you make it happen. But as we're reigniting this rivalry, I think this year, BYU fans, Utah fans need to make this game epic, right? As far as the quality of the game, Kalani down there, the excitement of the game, we're renewing this rivalry. We're back in the same conference. So we have to make that happen, and we get that. So next year, it'll be during rivalry week and be great. So I love it. We're coming off a bye week. I think BYU has a bye week just before that, so there should be no excuses going into that game. But I just think that it's at a good time right before the end of the season. We can start it, and you know, Utah gets another win against BYU.
There you go. All right, last thing for you. Look, they're going to slip up at here some point. It's just going to happen. But do you believe this schedule lines up very nicely for them to reach their goals and make a college football playoff?
Yeah, one, I don't see the slip up. The only question for me is I don't know what this UCF game is going to look like. Right. And, you know, because UCF is up and down when they want to be good and when they don't. But I think this lines up perfectly for us to do our thing each and every single week and not worry about it and just let the chips fall where they may. I think we're going to have a great preseason poll to start out with, which is what the other undefeated teams
Top
didn't
15
have.
likely,
Right? And so I think with that, I think the schedule aligns for us to handle business, be Big 12 champions our first year in the league.
The Oklahoma State and Arizona games loom large. If the Utes take care of business there, it could be a special season.
Yes,
Sly,
sir.
thanks.
All right, back to college hoops. The BYU women's basketball team was hosting West Virginia. Fourth quarter, Emma Calvert, 3-ball, cuts the lead to 4, 64-60. But BYU would not get any closer. Lauren Gustin had a nice game, 16 points, 14 rebounds, but BYU does lose their third straight game. Big 12 men's basketball, Texas and TCU. In the first half, Tyrese Hunter finds Chandler Weaver for the oop. TCU's up 6. 4 minutes left. Tie game, that's Max Abrams. The end one puts Texas up 3. The Longhorns take down number 25 TCU 77-66. Number 4 Houston visiting the 8th-ranked Kansas Jayhawks. First half, KJ Adams coming from the baseline for the dunk. Kansas up by 12 early. Jayhawks did dominate this game. Kevin McCullar with the putback dunk. Kansas taking down Houston 78-65. Some future locals in the NFL were playing today at Senior Bowl, a week of practices culminating in a game, all coached by NFL coaches in hopes of putting a good draft audition together. This is pretty good. BYU tackle Kingsley Suamataia serving pancakes in this game. I'd say that's a good audition. Utah safety Cole Bishop also played and recorded a few tackles in this game. Yep, only football can be relevant year-round. We heard us talking a little bit earlier about the Utah football schedule, but now we are talking with KSL Sports BYU insider Mitch Harper. That means one thing. We are now talking about BYU's football schedule, and of course, the Big 12. They know how to stretch this out for a whole year. They released the schedule, and it's obviously a big talking point. So let's talk about what BYU's looking at as this 2024 season approaches. Still a few months away, but what's your first reactions when you see the schedule?
It's a tough schedule, Sam. I mean, this is a schedule for a BYU team that was 5-7 last year, and now they're going to try to navigate this slate with a bunch of teams that played in bowl games. BYU's got their hands full with this schedule, but I think that it's also set up with the home games that they could be a team that could get back to the postseason.
Okay, and then you know that's going to be a big goal, but I think one of the first things that stood out for a lot of fans here in this state was that rivalry date, Mitch, November 9th. Your thoughts?
I loved it. I thought it was unconventional. I thought it was outside the box. That's what the Big 12 needs. This is a league that wants to tell the story of this conference, and what better way to highlight BYU Utah than with 2 weeks? You know, if you're going to think conventionally and just go put it back on tradition, rivalry week, that doesn't work in the Big 12. To do the traditional doesn't work in this conference. BYU Utah with 2 weeks, the best rivalry in this conference. BYU and Utah will be great on November 9th. And I think no matter when this game is played, it's always good.
Yeah, you mentioned 2 weeks. They have that bye week the whole week before. So 2 weeks of rivalry talk. You know it's going to be hot here in our state on the KSL Sports Zone, on KSLSports.com, and here on KSL Sports Live. But what other matchups stand out as we're looking at the schedule? Obviously, Utah's going to be one of the first ones, but what else?
September 21st, Kansas State, the Big 12 home opener. BYU hosting Kansas State for the first time since '77, but this is a K-State team that has one of the most consistent programs. Chris Kleiman, head coach. Quarterback Avery Johnson is going to be one of the most dynamite quarterbacks in this conference this year. He's going to be really good. I think that's going to be one of the toughest tests. You look at teams that could maybe contend with Utah and Arizona for the Big 12. K-State's one of those teams.
Okay, so that's obviously the start of Big 12 play. Bowl eligibility, though, that's got to be a goal for BYU this year. Do you think they get there? And if so, at what point in the season does bowl eligibility become a target for BYU?
I think BYU does reach the postseason. It's going to be tough, and I think it might be that last game against Houston. You know, and I think that's one of the reasons the Big 12 put BYU and Houston on the final week, because it's two teams that could be 5-6 in the final week of the season, trying to win or go home. But I think BYU does get back. The defense is going to be so much better this year. Jay Hill did an outstanding job assembling a recruiting class that's the best in this state. I don't think people are giving enough credit to that. BYU is going to be a team that gets back to the postseason. It's going to take a while, but I think that final week they'll punch their ticket.
And that's a home game too, wrapping up the season at LaVelle Edwards Stadium. That'll be huge for the Cougars. You're going to have a write-up about your predictions for this Cougar team coming out very soon at KSLSports.com. You can read all of Mitch Harper's BYU content there. You can listen to his podcast there, and of course, KSL Sports, Cougar Sports Saturday.
That's right.
Every Saturday on KSL News Radio as well. Mitch, thanks a lot for your time today.
You bet, Sam.
All right, jumping back into women's basketball, where the 20th-ranked Utah women's basketball team took care of business on Friday against Washington, winning 83-65 on the road behind 31 points on 12 of 16 shooting from Alyssa Peely. That's 75%. her fourth 30-point game of the season. She may be the best college basketball player in the state, guys. She's averaging 22.7 points, 5.6 rebounds per game this season. All right, while basketball was away, gymnastics came to play at the Huntsman Center on Friday night. Beam queen Maile O'Keefe put on a show, making history, her third perfect 10 on the beam this season. She even hit the Michael Jordan shoulder shrug afterwards. After her routine on Friday. This 10 ties the all-time perfect 10 record at Utah with 14 total perfect 10 routines. The BYU women's basketball team played in one of the most historic gyms in college basketball history this past week. They took on the Kansas Jayhawks at Fog Allen Fieldhouse, but it wasn't a Cougar or a Jayhawk that took the spotlight. It was a bat. BYU was keeping it close in the first half when things got batty. BYU down by 6 in the second quarter. That's when we have a delay in the game. A bat flying around the arena brought the game to a halt. The bat wasn't caught, but later flew up to the top of the arena, which allowed the game to resume after a several minutes delay. But that got us remembering, this wasn't the first time this even happened this past week. 4 days before, in San Antonio, the Spurs hosting the Timberwolves, when just 1 minute into the game, a bat swoops in to interrupt things there. The Spurs mascot, dressed as Batman, came out with a net to capture the bat. And look who was in the crowd. Spurs legend, Hall of Famer, Manu Ginobili. Now, why is that important? Well, let's go even further back. Also in San Antonio, November 2009, a bat interrupting a Spurs basketball game. Then, on that day, it was Ginobili in uniform swatting the bat to the floor, picking it up, and then taking it out, handing it off to be escorted from the arena. He did have to go through a series of rabies shots after that. There have been several instances over the years where an animal has interrupted a sporting event. This is at the Puerto Rico Open in 2014. An iguana on the green trying to take Andrew Lupe's ball on the 16th green. He was unsuccessful. And, of course, who will forget when Randy Johnson's fastball got the better of this bird at a Diamondback spring training game. March 24th, 2001 in Scottsdale, estimated 100-mile-an-hour pitch from Johnson counted as a no pitch after it hit the bird. Even here in Utah, during a high school football game between Davis and Viewmont back in August of 2019, oh no, a dog got loose on the field and relieved himself at the 22-yard line. The dog left the game and the refs cleaned it up and play would resume. Sometimes the animals take over. We'll be right back. The basketball tournament begins in just 3 more weekends, and we're beginning to get a good idea which teams are real contenders for a state title. How about Friday night? Second-ranked Corner Canyon in Class 6A on the road against the Riverton Silver Wolves. Durrell Desiree with the no-look pass to Isaac Neibauer for the bucket. A bit later, Desiree's going to do it again. Another no-looker, this time out to Brody Kozlowski for one of his 6 threes. Kozlowski had 27 points in the game, but Desiree would add the exclamation point with the offensive board and the emphatic slam. Corner Canyon wins big, 69-47. Fourth-ranked Harriman was at a packed gym at Mountain Ridge for rivalry night. In the third quarter, Harriman with the alley-oop to Malcolm Johnson. Harriman with a 40-17 lead. Harriman was also dialed in from downtown. Sophomore Carlo Mulford for 3. It worked once already, so why not another alley-oop? Up top to Johnson again. Harriman, big win, 69-47. Lehigh was visiting American Fork, the second-ranked Pioneers, starting in the second quarter. Easton Hawkins with the pump fake. Drains the 3. Lehigh's up 26-17 in the third. Jake Mulholland with the dish off to Tiger Cuff. American Fork's down 53-37, though. Under 2 minutes left in the third. Cuff with the tough layup. American Fork still down 14, but Lehigh responded on the other end. Cooper Lewis, the and one in transition. Lehigh leading 60-44. Hawkins and Lewis combined for 68 points in the game. Lehigh wins 80-68. We'll be right back. Alta facing against taking on Highland. 3-star recruit Haxon Johnson had himself a night. Johnson makes this and one alley-oop at the buzzer. And then in the third, Johnson goes up for the dunk. He finished with 12 points. Highland was trying to come back in this one. Grayson Gaddis is going to drop a 3 here to cut it to 3 in the fourth. But Alta holds on. They get their 20th win of the season. The Hawks are contenders. Hey, join us tonight at 9 for more sports. We'll see you then.